promote and celebrate Art Deco Weekend on Miami Beach, here with the executive director of the Miami Design Preservation League, my friend Daniel Ciraldo.
Hello. Thank you. Great to be here.
Am I going to regret that bouncy dance?
No, you were great. I'm sure people watching will let us know about how they like your techniques. But
what were those sisters called? The Andrews sisters. They used to do the Charleston, and they did the Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy from Company B. You never heard that song?
No. You might know more about that topic than I do.
So Art Deco Weekend is coming up. For those of you who don't know about Art Deco architecture, it is what makes Miami Beach special, right? It is what defines Miami Beach. It is our postcard. It is all of those little buildings or beautiful buildings along Ocean Drive and throughout the Art Deco historic district that were built between 1926 and 1948, kind of.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yes. I read something this morning that I did not know, and that is that Miami Beach had been prospering as a tourist destination, and then in 1926, a huge hurricane came along and basically wiped out everything. And people came together afterward and began to build all of these beautiful Art Deco buildings.
Right, that is true. I mean, if you look at the pre-1926 style, it was really Mediterranean architecture. But then when the hurricane came and blew a lot of those buildings away, then they had to think, what style should we rebuild in? And at the time, it was right after the 1925 Paris exhibition, which was all about art décoratif in French. And that was like a very popular style. So we got so lucky in a certain way that after the hurricane, the community came together around this emerging style that really made a difference.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. I had to get in here and watch party. I can't believe when I did the Charleston, I was looking at the wrong camera. Now I'm going to look like ridiculous. Daniel and I have a hair contest going. Who can have the frizziest hair? Okay.
Right, I know.
So after there was the exhibition in Paris for the Art Décoratif, and so that was the sign of the times. But it really has become what defines us as a city in Miami Beach, and actually across South Florida, we have examples of Art Deco architecture. Correct?
Right, absolutely. So it's interesting when we look at like TripAdvisor reviews. We did this analysis at MDPL where we took about 8,000 reviews of the Ocean Drive Art Deco district, and we tried to put it all together and build a word cloud. Have you ever seen those? They have like big words for the ones mentioned a lot and smaller words. And what was so cool, I'll have to share it with you, but what was so cool was the biggest term that was there right in the center was Art Deco. So like all these visitors that come, of course, they love the beach, they love the restaurants, but definitely there's no question that Art Deco is such an integral part of the DNA of what makes our city so unique.
Well, you pointed that out to me when one time I think we passed a Starbucks or something. You said, "Did you see the Starbucks mug? It's a picture of Ocean Drive." So literally when they market Miami and the beaches, there's always Ocean Drive and the Art Deco hotels.
I think there's something universal that people connect with when they're in Miami Beach. The low rise, the sky, the sun, the sea breeze, the pastel colors. Even I saw recently a clip of Tony Goldman speaking many years ago. He was a great visionary developer on Ocean Drive. And he talked about, the hotel rooms here don't need to be big. They're simple rooms because the living room is outside. And I think we all get that sense of beauty when we're out in Lummis Park and we see just all those things combined that really have left a very lasting impression on visitors for many years.
It never fails to take my breath away when I'm on Ocean Drive and then I walk out to the beach and I see the expanse of sand and then this turquoise blue. It always makes me realize why Miami Beach is world famous.
Right. We have so many of the greatest ingredients. Of course, we also have a lot of challenges too.
Well, I think we're coming full circle because these hotels were initially built between 1926 and 1948. And then there was a boom. And then by the early 80s, Scarface was being filmed on Ocean Drive, and there was drugs and crime and Marielle. And the entire area was completely dilapidated. South of 5th Street had been declared at that point slum and blight.
Right.
And so now we're kind of entering, we have something similar that's been happening for the past 5 years, which is crime and I guess it's just dirty and unsafe in some areas. And we have this party atmosphere. And no matter what we seem to do, we can't seem to revive Ocean Drive. Everybody talks about, Versace and this era in the 80s and 90s where it was just the epitome of cool. And now it's anything but.
It's definitely Ocean Drive over the years. I've been hanging out there quite a bit with my work, obviously, almost 10 years. And one thing that's interesting is that we are sort of a small city, but we have a lot of big city problems: homelessness, vagrancy, crime, whether it's petty theft of our visitors or even predatory business practices from some of the operators in the area. And so, and also being right on the beach and right by a park, it really adds to that challenge. We are not. It's not a private
because the
park.
MDPL, the Miami Design Preservation League headquarters and museum, is located at 10th and Ocean Drive, and it's right on Barbara Capitman Way.
Yeah,
correct?
that is true. The city
pioneer.
years ago co-named the street Barbara Capitman Way after our founder, and there's also a memorial there across from the Cardozo Hotel at 12th Street, which is one of the first buildings that she renovated with her son. And so so it definitely has a lot of great assets that we just talked about, but then it does have challenges. Over tourism, obviously, is one. And then with the pandemic, with so many businesses shut down, so many people also out of work, wanting to go to the beach, there have been challenges. But one thing that I think we have to keep in mind is I was looking at some old archive photographs at the League from like the 70s and 80s. And like, there used to be a lot of the same problems, in fact, probably worse. If you see some of the pictures of Ocean Drive in the 80s, there were a lot of seedy people there. And so I think that there's that Paul Simon Garfunkel song, like everything's better in black and white Kodachrome. I think some of our nostalgia for the good old days is definitely warranted, but we're always going to have some of these challenges, and we have to find ways to
because
mitigate.
that's where people go. If you go to Venice and it's the Piazza di San Marco and you're there, you also see kind of a grimy element. And if you are in New York and you go to Times Square, there's the same. Yes. So I think that's just kind of where people congregate, because especially the homeless, which we have not been able to control, and who really do make Loomis Park their home. But anyway, we are here to let's talk about Art Deco Weekend. It's amazing. I went to the website, and you're doing it completely virtual.
Yes, we are. We, unfortunately with the COVID pandemic, we, and some people I saw in the comments saying, oh, why don't you do it? And who cares? But we really had to look at the fact that we normally have about 150,000 visitors a year. And so, in working with the board of directors, we all decided it was probably the best idea would be not to have a physical event where we want to attract throngs of people, but instead, how do we do an educational and an entertainment-based program that everyone can experience? So the theme this year is There's No Place Like Home.
Oh, and we have a poster. Can we see the poster, please? Tommy. Look at that. You can buy this beautiful poster for $30 online. These posters become collector's items, and they look so cool in your home. I mean, I should just have them everywhere.
It's amazing to see people who buy them in Amsterdam and in France and in South America, Africa. And so it's taking a piece of Miami Beach home. I want to mention the artist, Sergei Serebrennikov, did a great job with this, and also creative direction with Iris Chase, who is our resident artist. And there's a few things you might find interesting about the design, which is, we have our Deco flapper at home on her Art Deco balcony, and she's sort of under the moonlight in the shadows of what we think of like the past 2020, not a great year. But looking in towards her Art Deco home, she's got her 1930s television set, and she's maybe watching one of our programs or dance classes. And then there's the Art Deco table and lamp. But then in the distance through the Art Deco mirror is a cupola of the famous Versailles Hotel skyscraper.
Oh, you mean the same Versailles that's about to be overwhelmed by the Russian oligarchs who want to build a huge tower there?
Well, that's a loaded point. But I will say that part of what we like to do with our design is have some relation to the preservation movement. So last year we had the Collins Plaza Hotel that had been neglected for many years, and there was a mysterious fire. This year we have the Versailles, which has also been neglected, even though it's owned by some of the most wealthy people in the world. It doesn't look like that when you go by it. So our hope is in this image of the future that we see a beautifully restored Versailles that is not overwhelmed either by a tower.
Have you delivered the Blavatnik brothers a copy of the poster so that they can see the hotel? I think that's
No, they
important
haven't
that it's
called,
being
but,
featured.
they could buy it online, of course.
So how does the poster thing work? There's a contest every year and you pick one.
Yeah,
correct?
so in the past we have done contests. Other times we've hired artists directly and worked with them.
Mm-hmm.
This year we did that. We hired an artist that we worked with, just because with the complexity of doing things online and with the pandemic, we worked with someone that has done a really good job before. And we might do contests in the future, but this time we stuck with one of the pros that we've worked with, a local artist.
Well, he did a great job, and I'm glad that you guys featured the Versailles Hotel. And you do have some very interesting lectures and series of events over how many days, Daniel?
Yeah, so I wanted to mention that this time it's starting on Thursday evening with a program by the Wolfsonian, Modern for the Masses by their chief curator. And it goes, so basically from Thursday evening all the way to Sunday.
And this is free. It's free and it's online, artdecoweekend.com. Do you have to register in order to be able to attend the events, or how does it work, Daniel?
Yes. So good question. When you go online and you find the event that you like, you have to register through Eventbrite. It is free, but we also allow people, if they want to give a donation, $5 suggested, but it's not required. Mm-hmm. And then once you register, that's how we know how to send you the Zoom link to join, because it's all being done virtually. So
you have to go online and register. And I would, listen, what else are people doing? They're home. So you might as well really become educated. These are wonderful lectures. Sometimes I haven't had the time to actually go and see some of the lectures. So this time you really can just take advantage and watch all of these, listen to all of these brilliant minds speaking about Art Deco and just learn a lot.
Yeah, I wanted to mention too that one thing, even though it has been somewhat of a letdown for people that come from all over the world,
people get dressed up and dance the Charleston probably way better than I did, and we should have dressed up in Art Deco.
You got to come, and when we're in person. But actually, even this year, just so you know, we have 2 classes to learn dances. We have one on Saturday, the 20 Charleston, and then one on Sunday, a solo jazz class. But also in the evening, Friday and Saturday, we have the Deco Speakeasy, which is basically like a variety show where people, I don't know if you ever saw it, but people on Zoom, they dress up and they dance on their Zoom. So we have like this grid of people from all over the world dancing to the music that we're playing. So if you want, dress up and you could do your Charleston.
There you go. Friday and Saturday night, there is what are you calling it? The Deco Speakeasy?
Speakeasy. We thought that'd be a fun, kind of Prohibition era term. And another thing, while you're dancing, it got me thinking that this was the Roaring 20s, 100 years ago. And, thinking now how they had a world pandemic, they had very similar things that we had, but then somehow the Roaring 20s became such a time of excitement. I think we could all feel that a little bit. We've all been cooped up.
This is going to be the Roaring 20s now, because as people get vaccinated and they can emerge and go out, I think there's going to be more parties, more events than ever before. Yes. I don't know about you, but I can't wait to get back out and start seeing everybody in the community again. I really do miss being around everyone. I didn't realize how community is the most important thing. If you don't feel connected to your community, and social media takes care of that to some extent, but there's nothing like attending these meetings. And sometimes you attend a meeting and I'm just there just to see everybody who's there and say hello.
It's like a social event. And I think, as good as Zoom is, we have had that issue in the city of Miami Beach where they actually don't allow members of the public to be on video when they're speaking, which I know Coral Gables allows. And I've asked the city to please consider it, because Miami Beach is a city built on activism, people that spoke up before it was all bulldozed. But yet we now, unfortunately, don't have, I feel, a level playing field. If you've seen the city meetings, you'll have developer lobbyists they somehow get moved over to the video, but then when neighbors, residents want to speak, we're in the dark.
Yeah, we are the only people on the Zoom who you cannot see our picture, but we do have a new city manager, Raul Aguila, and maybe he will consider having them put us on video Zoom. Why not? I don't mind, actually, because I feel like if you have something powerful to say, I don't mind that it's just like your name up there and then you just dig in and tell the truth and everybody goes, oh, so that's what's really happening.
Yeah,
the real narrative.
Yeah, I understand that, but I also have to say that there are people that, for example, you can't even see the elected officials or their reaction. You can't wave your hand if the city attorney or someone is saying something that you think might be an error. So, I think we're all looking forward to the meetings getting back to normal. But in the meantime, we should try to make those virtual meetings as equal as possible. That's my personal opinion.
Well, hopefully we'll continue the virtual meetings well into the future and allow people to attend them. So I want to talk a little bit about what's happening down there on Ocean Drive. Number one, I read something that sounded scary. A special squad of 15 police officers called the Art Deco Cultural. It's called Operation ADCD, Art Deco Cultural District. It's a special squad of 15 police officers. They have made 73 arrests, seized 5 guns, and wrote up 267 traffic citations. Did you know that?
Well, I did. And I do have to say that I see them out there and they are more visible. And I saw Chief Clements the other day because they kind of hang out near the center in this one area as they kind of go in and out. And I do notice a presence of the police that I haven't noticed before. So I do think that is a positive movement.
But overall, Ocean Drive right now is just full of people and people are not wearing masks. And it's really a super spreader, isn't it?
It's kind of interesting. Unfortunately, some of the people walking by have said to me, oh, well, I came here because I know Florida is not that strict.
Florida's open. Well, every other place is at 25% capacity, but our restaurants are going up to 100% capacity. And I know that the beach and Ocean Drive was packed this past weekend, which I find interesting that the mayor is kind of on CNN with his mask wearing, and meanwhile he's hosting this massive party on Ocean Drive.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say the whole thing is concerning, and I think the bigger issue is like, how do we become more resilient as a city? When you were in office, it was all about we're all going underwater and let's focus on that. And that is so important. But what about when there's a hurricane? I've always said that I think our biggest risk was a hurricane, but little did I know.
How do we go from Dan Gelbert to resiliency? Are you avoiding my question?
No, because, but I should finish that resiliency is how do we bounce back from shocks? And I think what we're seeing now is the business community has put so much pressure. And I do understand from a certain point that they have the rents and they have the employees to pay. But I think the bigger issue is we don't have a social safety net. And so we have to put these poor waiters up there and we have to market. And it is sad that we're as one of the most powerful countries in the world, we have to keep restaurants open past 2 or whatever, just so people could have enough money.
Well, there's a lot of controversy. A lot of people, there was a report done by the Chamber of Commerce. Okay. Saying that Ocean Drive was super profitable to the city, but that is really all relative. It says that, Ocean Drive brings in $3.9 million, but other people would tell you that it absolutely does not based on how you define the numbers. But one thing is important, and that's that we save the context, the beautiful buildings, Miami Beach's postcard. I know that Mango's, which is right there on Ocean Drive, it's across the street from you, basically,
like a block
down. Mango's is up for sale. Is that true? It's closed and it's on the market. And I know that people were circulating this picture of like a huge mall where Mango's is.
Yeah, I have to say, I was kind of surprised.
A mall, right?
It's like I keep seeing all these press releases from Mango's. I mean, they haven't been open since the pandemic. I God willing, their employees are okay. Now I guess the owners decided they want to sell. But apparently and again, they've never contacted me about it. But apparently they want all sorts of zoning changes, and which is a little scary, like you said, because the character, that low scale feeling could really be ruined by a height increase or something. And is that really what we need? Do we need more? I would love us to talk about less is more. I think that maybe these days we need to be a little slower in Miami Beach. You know,
Like
we
the
have a lot
Palm
of
Beach
problems.
model, or Southampton, one of the Hamptons in New York, or even Capri or Saint Tropez. They would never say we're going to take,
Right.
it would be like saying, let's take where the Arc de Triomphe is in Paris and let's build a condo around it. And
Right,
why
right.
why can they not understand that? I mean,
I don't know. And it's a little concerning that they go straight to the city administration, but they don't first try to build any sort of consensus.
I have a conspiracy theory surrounding all of this. We could easily clean up those 10 blocks on Ocean Drive, but we have allowed them to become decrepit, kind of like they did in the 80s when they declared South of 5th slum and blight, then made it a community redevelopment organization. And now you have what it's an interesting neighborhood. It is. It's full of high-rise towers, and it does have some low-rise Deco buildings, but that was done on purpose to lower the property values and to create that scenario. And I feel like the same thing is happening on Ocean Drive, only we can't build huge condo towers on our postcard because that really has to be sacred. And I think what's happening now is people are saying, well, Ocean Drive is slum and blighted on some level, right? That's what's coming next. And, therefore we have to upzone it and we're going to have to build around it. Now, I wouldn't care if they adapted a little bit and, because some of the rooms are small and I've heard people complain about the room stock, the hospitality room stock on Ocean Drive. But I just don't, I'm afraid to even proffer the fact that I would even consider something, because then it just gets out of control and then you have people trying to build 100 200 story towers.
I mean, look at what happened with Fifth and Alton. He started with 75 feet and then it was 90, then it was 100. It's like, so what do they say? You give an inch, they take a yard.
No, but I do believe that it's been devalued on purpose so that they can now say it's a mess.
I don't know.
It's a mess, and therefore we have to fix it. And the only way to fix it is by building. And I
hope not. I really hope not. I was thankful to the mayor. He appointed me to his new Blue Ribbon panel.
So what's that about? What's the mission of the panel?
Yeah, so that includes it's mostly business, business owners, business people. But somehow I got on there. And
congratulations.
Thank you. And there's also some residents like Jane Krupp, who's very involved. She lives in one of the buildings on Ocean, but she sees it all out her window. And we need to bring residents back to Ocean Drive. We can't ruin it by just only catering to the business. We get it.
So maybe they could build like beautiful residential apartments, right? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think the residential apartments, is a possibility, but I think more so what I was hoping was that we could bring residents back because they want to visit there and they want to spend time there, like hanging out there. Like when you go to Art Deco Weekend, it's like a fun time when we have programs.
But who's going to go there with their kids when you're getting offered drugs and there's throngs of people in the streets and the cafes are serving overpriced drinks? And when you walk by, the food is on display and it looks a little bit
No, listen, I totally
rancid.
Agree, but at the same time, like you were saying,
who's going there? Where do you go to eat on Ocean Drive? I go to the Betsy sometimes.
Yeah, I actually go around the corner to Rosetta, or to Shepherd's. Shepherd's Artisan Coffee is on Collins, right?
But you don't go on Ocean Drive right there.
No, because it's all like tourist trap, crap. And when MDPL and Tony Goldman and other people made the Sidewalk Cafe ordinance and push it to the city, the idea was to have really kind of European style cafes. Obviously, it's got it. This is not Portofino on Ocean Drive.
If it was up to me at this point, I would pull all of those permits, take a step back, maybe redo the sidewalks and, put it under construction and then reopen and have some sort of theme like ocean to like farm to ocean and make it like organic, like only issue the permits to businesses that are family, somehow family oriented or someplace that, the residents themselves would like to go and eat. We could actually, that's one thing that the Ocean Drive panel should really tackle. If we pulled those permits,
take a note of that.
Yeah, no, but if we pulled those permits, what are the criteria that we could put in place for new businesses who wanted to, who want to open on Ocean Drive? Because that's really what's happening with that open air. What does Mitch Novick call it? Circus-like environment.
Open air carnival circus. Yeah. Maybe Mitch could comment if he's looking at the video at some point. But no, listen, I agree. But but it really is a challenge in that it's such a magnet. It attracts all types of people. And one thing I will say is I don't think we need to be like Palm Beach. I've always liked how Miami Beach was a little gritty, like, it wasn't all like, I hate to say, like, well, I shouldn't say, but it was diverse.
But have you seen how beautiful their garden apartments are when you cross over from West Palm Beach into Palm Beach and you're driving? I mean, it's just these beautiful garden apartments, even from the 40s and 50s, are just redone and in such great shape. And the property value, one of those units that's, 250 or 300 square feet sells for, $500,000. Meanwhile,
look, architecturally, 100%. Even I heard one of the top people at the planning department of Miami Beach who did the design review board hearings has moved to Palm Beach. And it's kind of ironic because in Palm Beach, they actually protect their pre-42 homes. And here we don't. So you're right. I think protection and property values actually do have a relation. I think in this city, there's voices that like to say that preservation hurts property values, but I don't agree with that.
I think historic preservation is good business, and it's part of our culture in Miami Beach. We have our election cycle coming up, 2021. Our elections are on November 2nd. People are already filing 1 year in advance, and I think it's so important that these candidates sign papers and become educated about why this is important, because otherwise they just have a group of developer / vultures kind of circling them and then making sure that they only hear one side of the narrative. And I think what we need to be able to do is adapt. And you have a slogan on your website that I loved. What was it? Preserve, promote, and protect, the 3 Ps. And that's what we've done in Miami Beach. And that's what Daniel and the Miami Design Preservation League's mission is. So, Daniel, thank you.
Thank you. It was great being here. Thank you all so much. And don't forget artdecoweekend.com. And hopefully we'll see you online and in person soon.
Okay. Thanks for joining us today. Thank you.